didn't accept that. And this is really interesting because this type of permission, it was in relation with a specific type of rule of law in relation with a hierarchy of competence. And in the cursus honorum of the ancient Rome, it was important, this type of cursus honorum, because if we have to consider, for example, the Persian Empire, that empire, there was an emperor that considered his type of decisions, and the others had to prostrate to that emperor. On the other hand, the idea of ancient Egypt, for example, the pharaoh, it was a sort of god. But for the Greeks, on the one hand, firstly, and with the Romans, this type of ideas didn't. It wasn't, because the idea of costume of a Greek society, it was in relation with the fact that the politicians were the citizens, but at the same time the citizens were all the same in relation with the same costume and the same rule of law. Much more with Rome, in fact, the same rule of law in relation with the possibility to be a citizen comprehended the same duties and the same ideas to become that citizen. Therefore, you had to consider the necessity to become the true citizen, to do a military life between the 17 years old and the 40 years old. Then you had to consider the possibility to become a member of a Senate. Then you could also become a member of a consul. This is really interesting because in that system, in any case, there was a specific type of limitation of power in relation with, on the one hand, the idea that anyone it was a god. Everyone had to respond and to answer to the main duty and to the main order. The rule of law, that it was a sort of metaphysical idea. That in any case it was a sort of rule of law with a specific type of basement in the costume of Rome. And this type of metaphysics idea, it was really different from the metaphysics idea of the ancient Egyptian and, in this sense, ancient Persians. On the other hand, there was a specific type of politics that tried to limit, in this sense, the conflict between Romans in relation with the idea of law, rule of law. In particular, in this sense, the idea that it was important did develop a centralization of power. Therefore, the legionaries, the consul, had to consider the ideas of the Senate that can concretize and could develop a specific type of permission, etc. There wasn't a specific type of prince between the legionaries, between the consuls. The only one rule that it was so important, it was the rule of Rome. And this is really interesting because, in fact, we know that with the moment of the emperor, this type of structure developed and changed in relation with the fact that the emperor became a sort of god. And the structure with the empire became much more bureaucratic because with time the rules, the costumes, etc. became to be much more in relation with the emperor. And in this sense, also the rule of law and the right of Rome, the law of Rome changed, and in this sense it wasn't discovered as in the Republic period, but it was lost. In fact, when Justinian tried to reflect about the Corpus Juris Civilis, to rethink about the rule of law of the ancient Rome, didn't have the law of Rome, because that type of law of the jurists of Rome, of the Senate of Rome, the type of law in relation with the limitation of power, it was lost in relation with the fact that it wasn't maintained during time. Bye.